Today, we're going to talk about something that is pretty near and dear to me in the mortgage business, and that is new construction purchases. Specifically, what I'm talking about is when you are buying a home from a builder, buying a home from a builder, not doing a custom construction, which is completely different. And it's going to be 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 months before the house that you're buying is going to be complete. So typically what happens in this situation is you will give the builder a deposit up front, and depending on the builder will determine how much that deposit needs to be. If you are having a lot of custom, you're getting to choose all the finishes, usually that deposit might be a little bit bigger. If you are just buying a home that is going to be completed and you don't really get to pick anything in it, it's brand new, they're putting your name on it, sometimes that deposit gets to be a little bit lower. Now, the one thing that doesn't change though in that process is for you, the buyer, getting the loan. The things that you need to be aware of and make sure that you keep in line during this entire process. So, um, when you first go to buy a house like this, you're doing usually an initial like pre-approval or pre-qualification with your lender, where they are looking at your finances, what they look like right now, today. Um, and you're gonna, if you qualify, you qualified. That's great. Um, but that being said, 6 months down the road, 7 months down the road, 8 months, 9 months down the road, have you done anything that's going to change that qualification? Because really, the most important part about this whole thing is how you qualify. That period right before you're buying the house, getting the keys to the castle, if you will. So here are a few things that come up that is pretty specific to this situation. These are things that I've seen. So um, having been a mortgage manager for a team of people who only basically did new construction purchases for a builder that sold a lot of houses every year. I've seen a lot of things. I don't want to say I've seen everything because you've never seen everything, but I've seen a lot of people put themselves in some pretty tough positions as they get towards the end of it. I've seen people get to the end and actually not be able to buy the house because things have changed. So here's a few things you want to be aware of. The first thing is your credit. Just because we pulled your credit today and you had a really good score or a score that was good enough to buy the house, uh, doesn't mean that that's the end of the road for you and you don't have to watch that anymore, because what happens is that credit report, it's going to expire between now, or the period where you get pre-approved, and when the home is complete. And we've got to have an updated credit report before we wrap up your final loan, when there's a long period that goes by like that, like 120 days for most loan types. So every 120 days we have to refresh that credit, make sure you qualify. So what I've seen people do during that period is, one, uh, I've seen people rake up a lot or rack up a lot of credit card debt. One of the biggest ways or easiest ways to take your credit score from something really positive to much lower is when you raise the balances on your credit cards. So that utilization percentage is really, really important in getting your credit score or keeping your credit score up. Now, obviously, the other things that can happen is missing payments and having things show up on collections. I've seen people do that, and I've seen it take their credit score to something to where now they can't qualify to buy the house that they haven't built, and they have this non-refundable deposit sitting there. So be very careful with your credit cards. Make sure that nothing goes into uh, collections, things like that. I mean, if you're buying a house, hopefully you've got a grasp on all those things, but you definitely do need to keep your eye on that. Another thing that I see happen or have seen happen is people switching jobs. Now, switching jobs isn't always going to be a disqualifier for a new construction buyer, but you want to talk to your lender before you do that. So I've had people change jobs literally 2, 3 weeks before closing and have no problem. And then I've had other people that wanted to change jobs and it was going to be a problem. And the reason being was they were going to a new field or they were going to be getting paid differently. Examples where this can be a problem is when you're paid commission. That's a big one. Or we're relying on overtime and bonuses for your income. Sometimes people switch the way they get paid. I've seen people go from like a salaried W-2 employee and their employer wants to switch them to a 1099 pay. And just as recently as last year, it was a nurse anesthetist, whatever you call it, who they wanted to buy. It was $1 million house. They were well qualified, but the company they worked for was changing them from W-2 to 1099. So it made them qualifying for that loan that they wanted at that time hard. I mean, not really possible. Most people, if you're going to switch to a 1099 pay, now that's self-employment. We need a history of self-employment so that we know how to calculate your income. So this has happened a lot. So trying not to change employment is really important. Trying not to change the way you get paid. I've seen people where they actually get a promotion, and now the way they're getting paid in their promotion is maybe it's based a little heavier on bonuses than it is salary. Or I've seen people move into a sales position from a non-sales position, and now they're on commission, and it can affect everything. So before you make any huge changes to your employment, your income, the way you get paid, have that conversation with your loan team, especially when you're in, the new construction purchase phase. This is something I recently myself had to consider as I was selling my house, looking to have a new one built and buy. It affected the way that I was able to do that. So just be cognizant of that. The other thing that happens is people will spend the money that they had in their reserves. That they were using for like their down payment. Life happens, and money's got to be spent on things. But if that money was specifically for the house you were buying, are you still going to qualify with that having drained some of that? It could be an issue. What else comes up? So we also see where money is moved in and out of the accounts and we're not able to document it. So that can be a problem. And back to the credit thing is the most common one that we see is somebody goes out and buys a car. Literally a car. Sometimes I hate seeing it, but I've had people go out and buy a car and have it ruin their ability to buy a house. I've had people go buy a boat or an RV trailer, something to go have fun with, and that's what's preventing them from home ownership. But what's even worse though is when it happens when you're buying, you're having a house built and you have that non-refundable deposit there. So I have people all the time that are in this situation that need to buy a car during the process, and all I ask is you reach out to me so that we can make sure that whatever that new car payment is not going to affect your approval. It's gonna affect your approval, but is it gonna change your ability to qualify or not? And that's the big question. So I know many people have done this, and if they knew better, they would have held off on buying the new car, or they would have bought something cheaper. They wouldn't have gone down that road and really hurt their chances of buying a house. So if this is you are that person who is going and buying a new house. You are a realtor who has clients that are buying new construction purchases. You are a realtor that sells new construction. These are the things that you really need to be on top of, and you really need to talk to the buyer about. As loan officers, when we have people buying new construction, this is a conversation that I think needs to be had more than once. I've got a guy on my team, Keith Leifer, who has done more new construction purchase loans than anybody I know, and he's the GOAT. He's the best at it. In my humble opinion, at least. And he does a very good job of coaching his clients on this every time. I like to tell people that if you are selling new construction, you should be partnering with somebody like Keith who has this experience in managing this, because it is a lot different. So I remember my very first loan I did that was a new construction purchase. It was a Hayden Homes. My client was buying a new Hayden home in Pullman. This was over 10 years ago, and I had no idea what I faked it. I acted like I knew what I was doing. I didn't know when I was supposed to order the appraisal. I didn't know the things that I needed to tell the client to make sure that they knew and did. I didn't know when I was supposed to have it underwritten. Like there was so much that I didn't know, and we fumbled our way through it. We got really lucky, but this is why I really think if you are doing a new construction purchase, you don't just want any Joe Blow loan officer off the streets. You want someone that really focuses and plays in that space quite a bit, because there is a lot that can go wrong, and you want someone that really knows how to manage that. So those are my tips today for new construction. I hope you found this helpful. If you liked this content, be sure to subscribe to my page, follow whatever it is on here, and I'll be posting more great content just like this.